Hello, I'm Erin DeClotz, Director of Admissions at Jesuit High School, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the admissions process and an academics overview of our school. Let's see, our first slide tells you the very first step in the admissions process, whether you're a fifth grader, sixth grader, seventh grader, or eighth grader, is to go onto our admissions webpage, www.jesuitportland.org. Click on admissions and you will create your account. Eighth graders create accounts, and then seventh, sixth, and fifth graders can join our email list. So this is where you'd go on our website to do that. That's your first step to do anything else really in the admissions process. So if you're just starting off, that's what you should do right away. It should take you about 5 minutes or a little bit more to create that account if you're an eighth grader. With that account, you can do a lot of things. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. Let's see, next slide. Here's some important dates that you'll want to make note of. October 23rd, if that's in the future, because you might be watching this after October 23rd, but October 23rd, 2022 is our open house. You'll want to register online, so you'll need an account, or at least you need to go to our website in order to sign up for a start time. We have start times every 15 minutes. Between 12:45 and 4 p.m. on that day. It's a Sunday. Then for eighth graders, October through January is our shadow visit season. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7:45 until 1:50 are our shadow days. And we'd love you to come to 5 classes. We'll buy you lunch in our cafeteria. You'll get to go to classes with an ambassador. You can also request an ambassador. You can ask for someone by name if you know someone here who's a host, or you can ask for someone who has a certain interest or is on a certain team or a certain club or in a certain class, and you can request a person like that for your host. You have to register for those using your admissions account, and that's for eighth graders only. December 2nd and 3rd is our placement test. That's also for eighth graders only. It's the HSPT test. It's a national exam given at Catholic and private high schools all across the nation. So if you're watching this video from another state, we do have some people who apply from other areas. Feel free to take the HSPT at any other school and have the results forwarded on to us at Jesuit no later than mid-February. You can register now for the placement test at Jesuit. You can also take it anywhere else in the city of Portland. All of the other Catholic high schools offer it. So if it's more convenient for you to take it at another place or on another date, some of the schools offer them on different days in December. Feel free to register there and have your results forwarded to Jesuit. Between December and January is a great time to request your transcripts from your 8th grade and 7th grade, and also to ask your teachers for recommendations. You will want to ask your English teacher, your 8th grade English teacher, your 8th grade math teacher, and your principal or your counselor for your 3rd recommendation. Those are all requested online using your account as an 8th grader, and you would do that you have a handy dandy checklist. You can go to your checklist and enter in the email addresses of the teachers that you're going to be requesting all of that from, or in the case of your transcript, the email of the registrar at your school who handles transcripts. So you'll want to gather up those email addresses and enter those into the system. Sometime in December or January, those are due in early February. So you want to make sure to give your school and your teachers plenty of time, because they're busy people. Make sure you give them plenty of time to complete those requests by the very first week in February. The January 13th is the admission deadline for the application. It's also the financial aid application deadline. Financial aid is a separate application. It's not, obviously you're not required to fill that out, but many families do. We do not give merit aid at Jesuit. So we give $4 million a year in financial aid to families who demonstrate need via an independent agency called FACTS, FACTS. That's the application that you'll fill out, a FACTS application. And that can be accessed online. All of this can be accessed through the admissions tab on the Jesuit website. Also, you fill out your admissions application via your account on your checklist. Let's see, January 28th or February 4th are the 2 dates for family interviews. Those are all for people who have submitted an application by January 13th. And we're not sure yet if those will be live or like in person or online. Kind of depends on how things are going. We think we'll be fine in the COVID area, but we just never know. So we're just reserving until the beginning of the year to make that decision about whether to do it online or in person. One other comment I do want to make, if you are a student who is applying to more than one Catholic high school in the Portland area, you want to make life easier for your teachers and for your schools who are filling out those recommendations and transcripts. So they don't have to fill out more than one. If you're applying to more than one school, you can forward them all with one click if you make your accounts at the other high schools using the same email address. So make sure when you create your accounts on the other high school websites to use the same email address that you use for your Jesuit account. In that case, you can just with one click forward like your math teacher recommendation, your English teacher recommendation, your transcripts, and your principal recommendation to the other schools of your choice. Important note to make. To talk a little bit more about our placement exam, the HSPT, a lot of people ask this. This test, we do not use it as an acceptance or an admissions test. And what I would mean by that, or an entrance exam, some schools require a minimum score in order to be admitted to their school. We do not have a minimum score for admission at Jesuit, but we do look at your score. We use it for placement into classes. If you are accepted, we would use it to help it place you in a class. We also look at your score to make sure that you're on track to be able to be successful in a college prep, in a rigorous college prep curriculum. So we don't just take the top scoring applicants. That's not what we do. We have a holistic admissions process. We look at many other things. But I did want to say that we mostly use it for placement into classes, and it covers, the HSPT covers verbal and logical aptitude, English, reading comprehension, writing, and math skills. There's no algebra on this test, in case you're wondering. We get that question sometimes. So if you haven't had algebra, no worries. We're just covering basic math skills. So back to the question about how we make our admissions decisions. We make them very holistically. We have a committee that reads the applications. We look at the responses that you have written to the application questions, both by the students and the parents. We look at the family interview. These are all looking to see if Jesuit is a good fit for your family and if you'd be a good fit for us and we'd be a good fit for you. We look at the teacher recommendations. We look at those with the lens of your citizenship in your school, your character. Are you a cooperative student? Are you respectful of your classmates and of your teachers and of your rules in your school? We look at your grades in 7th and 8th grade. And if you don't have a perfect transcript, not to worry. We do like to see improvement. If you do have, we know that students change a lot in middle school. So if your grades aren't perfect in 7th grade, but you show a good improvement, that's a good sign. We are a faith-based school as a Catholic school, but we do accept students of all faith traditions, and we cherish students of all faith traditions here at Jesuit. But we do pay attention to your family faith life tradition and also your involvement as a family in a faith community, whatever that community might be. Doesn't necessarily have to be Catholic again. We look at your activities outside of school. Are you involved in service? Are you involved in sports? Do you have a job? Are you involved in the arts? What other activities do you do outside of school? Do you have a hobby? So you'll want to make sure to talk about those on your application. We also look at our applicants through the lens of something called the Jesuit High School Profile of the Graduate. And there are 5 characteristics of our profile of a graduate. They are loving, open to growth, religious, committed to doing justice, and intellectually competent. There's a lot of information about that on our website, but we do look at our applicants through that lens to look for potential for growth in those 5 areas. Those are all the characteristics that we really try to develop in our students while they're here with us at Jesuit for 4 years. And I think I've covered that. Oh, and we do look, like I said, we do consider the placement test score, but it is not a make or break score for the applicant. And we definitely look at it in conjunction with grades and teacher comments. So if you feel like you're not too happy with your score, never fear that we look at other things too. And we know that students sometimes can't show what they know in a one-day high stakes test. With regard to the challenge exams, now these are separate. These are for students who are accepted and choose to enroll at Jesuit. We give these tests in late April, and we do them in order to place students in math and honors physics, or whether they can take physics as a freshman, in other words. We also use these tests to place a student in world languages, so either in Spanish, French, or Mandarin Chinese. A couple of notes about math. Some students want to just test out of algebra, so they just come and take the algebra challenge exam. Some want to test out of geometry, so they'll come and take the algebra and the geometry challenge exam on the same day. Some want to go higher and challenge out of pre-calc or calc. That's not a super common path, but we do have students that do that. So you can take multiple math challenge exams all on the same day in April on the day that you choose. More info coming about that after you are accepted and enrolled. And then also your score on your math test will determine whether you're placed into honors physics your freshman year. And we'll go more into that later. But the highest a freshman can place in world languages, even if you're like in an immersion program or something like that, the highest we will place you in is a 3rd year honors class. And that has to do more with developmental maturity and reading novels and having classroom discussions in another language. So we tend to think that freshmen, putting them in 4th year or above is just developmentally not appropriate for a freshman being in class with a lot of seniors. So we do have that 3rd year honors. We do have, for native speakers, we do have a native speaker track that we can give you more information on if you want to ask about that for the languages. Now for a little bit of academic overview. This ends the admissions portion of this video, but a little academic overview for you. Every freshman at Jesuit will take the following classes. The classes that are highlighted are ones that are determined based on test scores. So a combination of the placement test score that you take in December and the challenge exams that you would take in April. That would help determine your math and physics honors and world language, but also your reading and language score on the HSPT helps us determine whether you would be in an honors English track your freshman year. If you miss that mark, there are ways to appeal the decision and submit some writing samples, but we can go into that more later. We do have freshman PE required of all freshmen, and then there is a 1-year fine arts requirement. Many freshmen take it, and others who take physics honors their freshman year will take their art class at a later time during their 4 years. We have many really great options in the arts. We have music, choir, band, instrumental music. We have music production. We have guitar. We have visual art. Some students do 4 years of visual art if maybe they want to go on to art school in college. So we have an advanced art track and just a regular visual arts track. We have drama classes, we have choir, we have all levels of choir, all the way up to chamber choir for the highest level of choir. We have technical theater, we have creative writing. There's a lot of really great art classes to choose from. whether you take it your freshman year or later on, or some students take it every year because that's the elective they want to do. Freshman seminar is for students who have come into Jesuit with some learning differences, documented learning differences, and we work that out through our learning support program. But students can take freshman seminar instead of an arts class, for example, or instead of a world language, for example, and that class will help a student transition into high school. It's used as like a study, you learn study skills and different ways of learning and keeping on track, keeping organized, keeping a planner. We have really wonderful teachers who teach those classes and help the students in their transition into high school. So that's for a select smaller group of freshmen. Here is a handy dandy 4-year course grid of your time at Jesuit. I can see that it's partially blocked at the top by my menu there, but you can point your phone at the QR code and find it on our website. There's also a really long link. If you want to take a photo of that and type that into your computer, you can find it on our website. But some notable pieces about our 4-year curriculum at Jesuit is we are a Catholic school, so we do require 4 years of theology. Some of the best classes at Jesuit, I think, are those classes in junior, senior year, those religion electives that you can see there on the grid. We also have very many options in math. We go very high, 4 levels and beyond above calculus in math. Those are all dual credit, college credit and high school credit classes. So the sky is the limit in math at Jesuit. We have a 4-year English requirement, and we do require 2 years of a world language, but many students take 3 or 4 years. We have some amazing, interesting electives. They range from physical electives like rec sports and power training and cardio fitness, so to stay fit and get your body moving during the school day. We have artistic, I already talked about the fine arts electives, but we have some really interesting, we have a media studies program for students who are interested in like journalism or yearbook doing layouts on computer software. We have a broadcast studies program here for people who want to learn how to broadcast games live and be like an announcer or writing, like making film, documentary films, things like that, really interesting. We also have international studies, computer science. What else do we have? Media production, I already said, speech and debate, anatomy, environmental science, data structures, all sorts of levels of math I already mentioned, but there's a lot of really great, you can see AP psychology, all different AP sciences, physics, chem, and bio. But you can take a look at all of the classes there online. Actually, we have the whole catalog online too. At Jesuit, we really are proud of something we call Cura Personalis. It's a Jesuit, it's a Latin word for care of the individual, but it's a hallmark of Jesuit education. We have Jesuit schools across the world, actually. And what it means is that we really take care of every individual. We don't let kids fall through the cracks. We really support our students. We do take pride in challenging our students, not only academically, but emotionally, physically, spiritually. But we also are there to support them. We have a really village mentality here at Jesuit with a whole counseling staff that is assigned to your student. We have a vice principal assigned to every student. We have a whole learning support program that supports kids that need it that way. And we have a very amazing faculty that loves the students, but really does challenge them and supporting them at the same time. Technology at Jesuit. Actually, this should be updated here. Every student at Jesuit has an iPad. It's owned by Jesuit. The iPad is owned by Jesuit, but it comes with your tuition. We actually are now issuing the iPad only once because the batteries now are good enough to last for 4 years. So this is an old slide. The students will have one iPad while they're here, and they get Apple Care, a 4-year Apple Care contract with that. We do a mandatory summer iPad camp before the freshman year, which allows students to really learn. So you don't have to come in knowing how to use an iPad. We teach the students how to set up their iPad, how to use it. They can take notes from all their classes on the iPad. It's a great way to have fewer binders in your backpack. Also, a lot of the textbooks will be loaded onto the iPad, so that's a lot fewer books that you have to carry around. We do have some strict technology policies here at Jesuit. We think it's important to have structure around that. So we do have an acceptable use policy that we have families sign at the beginning of your time here. There are certain apps that we don't allow on the iPad. The iPad is to be used for academic purposes, not for gaming and adding a bunch of personal apps that clutter up your iPad. So we do have that. Also for cell phones, we don't allow cell phones in classrooms or in the hallways. The only time that we can do that is if a teacher is allowing it for the purposes of an academic, for like a lesson in class. But we also have one area of campus that we do allow cell phones. So if a student needs to call a parent, for example, during the school day, they can go to the cell phone area and call the parent there. But beyond those areas and beyond permission from a teacher, we don't allow the technology out in class because we find it very distracting for the students. So that's a little bit about technology. Our bell schedule. So this is just if you're interested in learning when we start school, when we get out of school. For most days, we start at 8 a.m. and we end at 2:45. We do have a late start on Tuesday mornings so that we can have our faculty meeting. The students come at 8:55 on Tuesday. We have something called Flex Period, which is really great. It's sort of new at Jesuit. We have 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. A 40-minute flex period where students can meet with a club, they can get help from a teacher, they can shoot hoops, they can hang out with their friends. It's really just a breather in the middle of the day for them to catch up on things. And we found that it's been really popular and helpful for our students' mental health, as well as just feeling more organized with their life, with their social life, and their academic life. So that's what Flex is. And if there is so much information, if you have something that I haven't covered and you want to know more information, please go to our website, jesuitportland.org. Click on academics. That's the tab that has more than you probably would ever want to know about our curriculum, our support services, our staff, textbooks, all of that, counseling and advising, college counseling. You find a wealth of information there. And if you ever have questions about any of it, please give us a call in the admissions office. We love to help answer your questions. So here's a few more ways you can connect going forward. If you want to go to the admissions tab on our Jesuit website and click on Discover Jesuit, there's a lot of great things there, like videos, fast facts about Jesuit, a lot of great photos and quotes from students about their experience. We have a 360-degree campus tour, for example. If you're unable to come to our open house and walk around, you can do so just from the comfort of your home. Remember, 8th graders, join us for a shadow visit if you haven't done so already. It's the best way to get to know a school from the inside out. And then lastly, if you have any last minute questions, you just want to connect with me, you can do so between October 28th and January 13th on what we call our Zoom admissions chats. I'll be there on Tuesdays from noon to 12:30 and on Fridays from 10:15 to 10:45 a.m. You can drop in and drop out. You do not need to stay for the whole half hour. You can come in just for 5 minutes, get one question answered, and then leave. Sometimes I have 5 people there, sometimes I have 2 people, but I usually have at least 1 person there. But feel free to just drop in whenever you can on any of those days, all the way through the admissions application deadline, which is January 13th. And don't forget, your first step to all of this, to the key to everything here, is to create your admissions account or join our email list, which you would do by going to the admissions tab at jesuitportland.org. thanks so much for showing up to learn more about Jesuit, and we hope to see you on campus very soon. Take care.